Yeah, it's just 1 Mick here. Bit of saw sharpening today in response to Aussie bucking. He doesn't live that far from me. He lives up near where I used to live, up on the sunny coast effectively. I communicate a bit with him on our YouTube, different stuff that we put up. Now, a few things here yeah, you might find them helpful, you might not. Now, first up, if you've got a vise, I find it good to obviously hold your chainsaw in a vise to sharpen it. So this is a new chain on here, and this is actually a steel chain. And if you have a close look, you can see the little cut there, which is at 30 degrees. Well, I think that's at 30 degrees on this. We'll say it's 30 degrees. And different things I clean down. If you haven't got access to air, wire brush, just wire brush down the teeth when they're dirty. And because if you're on the go and you haven't got a heap of chainsaws, you'll be sharpening these things out in the bush, or if you haven't got access, if you're out working and you haven't got access to a vise, you'll be using probably one of these to hold your chainsaw on a stump. That's a homemade one there. Mate of mine made that for us. I'd make it, except I can't weld, or I should teach myself how to weld, but I don't. But few things. So you know, you want to hold your chainsaw at the right height, and properly. And cleaning it down, like I say, wire brush, then just a old paintbrush, clean it off with that, and rags, and a rag. Have it adjusted up properly to when you go to sharpen it. Now there is a bit of movement you will see there. This is a steel chain and it hasn't been sharpened before. And a few things I want to show you here that I don't know if other people do it this way. An old brother, Peter Swenson, and he's been cutting timber since around about even before the mid-80s, because he was doing he was doing posts in the mid-80s. I was offside with him, and we were cutting in 86 with the ex-brother-in-law Jeff Green from Conondale Timbers, and we were working for Conondale Timbers. That was our in-laws at the time. And you'd be up in the bush. We were using A90 steel chainsaws, those big old massive big saws. People refer to them as 90s, but Peter is exceptionally good at getting chainsaw chains to run well, because he's also a hunter, and anyone that's any good at hunting, that's any good at truing in guns, you know, you've got to be pretty particular on setting your gun up and truing it all in. So he applies the same to his chainsaw sharpening. Now, different stuff he told me, like, in his eyes, and I don't think he's wrong, it's always very important to have your teeth at the same length, right? So easy way of doing that is just put a shifting spanner on there, and you go, just size them all up, sit it on them, go along, you find the shortest tooth and adjust it to the shortest tooth. If you are filing too heavy and you don't have it completely accurate, and you want it to go back to the length of the shortest tooth. So this is brand new, so they're all going to be the same, most likely, all done in the machine, and they're all the same. So you go back, a smaller shift as they go, but you go back to the shortest tooth and you file to it, file down, everything else down to the shortest tooth. Because you get into hardwood, you'll get the chainsaw, or what they call run. Big logs, and running is, we'll just look at this stump over here, And if you had it running, this isn't a very big stump, but say, I don't know, I'll get you on the bigger stump. If your chainsaw's running, eventually it's wanting to turn into a U. It's wanting to cut, you know, exaggerating, you want to cut a U. So across this surface here, if you were cutting, say, this is a reasonable size log, 3.5 foot through, and as you go in, it'll be wanting to go like that, it'll be wanting to go like that, up or down. So it's important to get those lengths right, as I understand. Now, I don't think I'm relaying the wrong message there. And I've done a fair bit of sharpening, and generally I always get the saws going pretty good. I don't say to Peter's standards, but definitely get them going pretty well. So there's that. So here, you'll see the chainsaw's upside down here. Now I'm a left-hander. Now, if you're a left-hander or you're a right-hander, I bat right-handed, as with a cricket bat. Not that I play cricket, but I shape up like a right-hander. If I'm boxing, which I've farted around doing a little bit of that, I jab with my right, and of course, because I'm left-hander, my strong arm's my left arm, but actually my right arm is stronger, just through motorcycle crashes and whatever else, and wear and tear. So you've got a easy side and you've got a hard side. Now the saw flipped up, and you'll find if you try and file one side, you'll file a lot easier than you will the other. So all I do is, on my hard side, I just flip the saw upside down. And it's an easy, say it's both an easy side, because you set it up to the easy side with the chainsaw facing up normal, and then you set it up upside down to the easy side, the chainsaw facing normal. It's both sides of the chain. Rightio. Now, the most accurate way I've ever sharpened a chainsaw to have it cutting ultimately as good as I can get it cutting is with a jig. On saying that, the jig, you could adjust, say you're cutting that at 30 degrees, the jig would set up over here. It's about as long as this here, this thing here, this still file guide. And you could adjust it that way, 30 degrees, 25 degrees, 35 degrees. It might have went in increments of 2.5, I can't remember. But you could definitely, I used to just set up at 30, and that's what most people I think use, 30 degrees. And also you could put adjustment that way on it too. So clearly when you are sharpening, running through with the saw, with the file, hang on, actually I'll show you with this one so you can actually see. See that? You've got a bit of movement there. So I just used to set it up level, not at 5 degrees back or 2.5 or whatever you want to set it. Because they do say, some people say, I'm just going to switch over to my right hand side because I'm shaky on my left today, shaky on my right today. So they would say always put it down in the tail a tad. Well, I've never done that. I've always sharpened it level, and when it was on the jig, I always sharpened it level. So I've just never adjusted that at all. So level, because when you put a slight bit of weight on the chain when you're filing it, you will get a little bit of movement. So I think that's good enough. Set at 30 degrees on the jig, and measuring from the shortest length of tooth, which will only be a rub or two different probably, because obviously I favour my left hand side because my left hand side's more accurate and it's my easy side. I don't file very heavy, and when you're filing, I'm not going to get into it this one here today for the simple reason it's a new chain, it's still cutting fine, so I don't want to seeing someone file a chain, filing a chain, it's no big deal. Now that little guide there is good because I just normally sharpen freehand, And these are 3/16 files on this particular chain, steel chain. For someone just starting out, if they haven't got a jig, these are good guides. Because clearly you can see the cuts. When you take it through, you're taking it through. That cut that goes back through here is parallel with your bar as you're going through. So that's your 30 degrees. And the same on that side when you flip it, 30 degrees. Oh, also saying if you got access to a vise, say on the back here, like on the back of my F truck or something, if you can have the bar hanging over, so the vise at the back of the tray on a stand or just attached to the very back of the tray, you're going to have a certain amount of overhanging, so you can get it from either side, which is easier, but it is still easier to flip it upside down in my opinion. So we're at 11 minutes here, so this is going to be a fairly long little video. Rightio. So I think I've covered that with that guide, steel guide. Not a bad thing, not a bad thing at all. And Aussie Bucker showed you exactly what you want to end up with the tooth, and in my opinion he's absolutely spot on there. It's not gonna show it clear, it's too close, but Aussie Bucker got, in my opinion, had that right on the money, him and his son Tyson. Now so there's I file it freehand. It's a 3/16 file on this chain here. It says 3/16 on these files, right? And on this bigger one, which is from a bigger saw, my Shindower, 5.5mm. Let me put my glasses on. It only gives you a 3/16 on that on that file there, on the little one, but on the big one, it actually tells you your size. Anyhow, it's in the handle there, so I'm not going to pull it out. Where else are we going with this? So I always, once you get going, the main thing is with the chainsaw, avoid hitting dirt if you can, avoid hitting dirt or rocks or anything, gravel, anything like that. If you got bark that you're going to cut through the bark and there's gravel or dirt in that bark, get that bark off the tree if you can, if you're cutting. If not, get a broom or a blower and blow it off, because you will dull your saw and you will spend that much more time sharpening your saw than you will the time it takes you to broom that bark off. Get that bark off effectively if you can, and broom it or blow it off, but do not cut dirt or rock. That will dull it up that quick. Now if you look at this here, this has been machine sharpened, so I'm not going to fiddle around on that today, because that's going to take a bit of me getting that to how I want it. So we'll just leave plenty of people are seeing people file saws. It's no biggie. It's practice makes perfect, but like Aussie Bucker was saying, YouTube and talk to timber cutters that are doing their work for a living. They'll be on the money if you can get it out of them. It's probably a dying trade, because a lot of people don't like working as hard as what you've got to cutting timber, and extremely dangerous job, extremely dangerous. And I can attest to that, because I've personally known 2 people that have been killed in the timber, and also a lot of injuries. And I have had an injury myself with a chainsaw in the late 70s, early 80s, very early 80s, late 70s. We'll say probably around about 1980. I cut 10 stitches in the leg. This was before the chaps, and it just touched me and opened it up. Pretty serious wound, but it shall heal up. Still got the scar, but I'm not going to drop my pants to show you. It was on my right knee. Rightio, so you got movement in that. You've got 30 degrees you've got, bring the teeth back to the shortest one. But if you're doing it yourself and you just go steady, you don't, you know, you want to check that regularly to make sure you've got that on the money. You will, if you've damaged it, clearly one tooth, if you've got to file it down a little bit more, you know, you're probably not going to have a great issue. But if it's got a gouge or something in it, but like I say, if you've got to bring it back to the shortest length here and you've damaged a few, well, you're going to have to bring it until you clear it up and bring all the others back too. Now where else are we going? There's that. Oh, when you take the bar off, this is a little Morrison bar off my little China that's chucked it in. It's, you know, it had done a bit of work, but she's on the pension. She's pensioned out now, so this is at a little. This is a couple of inches longer than the little genuine husky bar on this little Husqvarna. So I'll utilise this bar and wear it out too. But I just like to have a longer bar so I don't have to bend over as much. If I bend over cutting, I'll generally drop down to my knee. So rightio, that's that. So for me, that's just easy as a left-hander to do, file it that way. And just bear with me, I'm just going to show you a little bit more. So just get this out of here and just show you. Now I'm not, I got this saw chain, this chain from the still shop in at Stanthorpe. I'm not particularly pro cut. Probably I was using them up my lane, pro cut, because that was a saw chain's big coal, and if I'd be going down to beer war small engines, I would get the still chain, because that's, you hear Aussie bucking talk about Allen, Allen, at BOR Small Engines, a still dealer. Honestly, their mechanical skills across the board, brilliant. Allen's an absolute walking, talking encyclopedia on chainsaws, and they deal in steel. They're a steel shop, and Peter was doing chainsaw chains up for them, my brother Peter, for when they go into competition, as I understand. So, you know, so my brother does know what he's talking about. Well, I think I know what I'm talking about too, but not to the level he does, and to the level of men that I've worked with over the years, because this has been their trade, cutting trees and big timber, big hardwood, Australian hardwoods, for, you know, 30, 40 years. So I was dealing with people that knew what they were doing. And I like knowledge too. So then I would have the other side done. Then I would start on this side, being left-handed. I would start and I would sharpen the easy side with the chainsaw facing the normal way up. But the flip of the chainsaw on the vise, I'd like Aussie Bucking to have a go at that, him and his son, and just get back to us on what they think. I think it's a good idea. And the arborist I used to work with when I was on council, I see him doing that one morning. I said, "What are you doing, flipping this saw upside down?" "Oh, no, it just makes it easier." And, you know, I don't know why I hadn't thought of it, but yeah. So anyhow, this thing's still dirty from using it last week. What else can I tell you? So length of teeth, rakers. Aussie Bucking went over the still little Raker jig. There it is. No, it isn't. Where am I? Just let me look at it. I was looking at it before because I sat it on there. And here it is. Rightio. So they must think that when you get it back to, say, there with the sharpening, that's your tooth buggered. You can see a groove in there too, and I'd say that's probably pretty well spot on. Goes around that way, and sits on there. And being a brand new chain, not even sharpened, the rakers are still not above that. So that's pulling out fair amounts of wood, still not above that thing there. So you can see what I mean. Set that on there, pull that back, and I can just see, hang on, I'll just set it up. I can just see that, pull that back up to the raker, sorry. And here you can just see the raker just sitting out the top. So, you know, but I'm and I don't know what all this is all about here. I'd be lying if I said I did. But yeah, that's, in my opinion, those few things. Like I said, that and that. If you can ultimately get one of those, I think they're in Oregon. The one I had when I worked on for a big company, it was a, I don't know the brand of it, it was all in aluminium colour, with the piece that held the back of the tooth here, when it'd just drop in. As you move the tooth forward, the piece would drop in to the back of, say, that tooth there, and you'd be filing, I might say dropped in the back of that one there. No, it would be that one there, it was, drop in there, and you'd be filing that. And I have, this is the most accurate I've ever had my saws going, and I think that Oregon might do something very similar. And I've got a feel, and I looked it up on the internet, and I'm pretty sure the jig that I was using is about 250 Australian dollars, or 200, it wasn't cheap. I think you can get an Oregon for around about 100 or 120 maybe, but I'm not sure. But ultimately, if you're not doing much saw work, that's the way I'd go. But with this, look on the internet, look for all the different advice. Like I say, Aussie bucking, I was watching his there the other day because he said he was putting one up, and so he was worried about people saying too much about how he'd go about it. Well, that doesn't worry me, because at least he's having a go and I'm having a go, and I can get my saws running well. So you have seen them running, they run well, and yeah, so I just don't think you can go far wrong going off that 30-degree notch on those there. Rub lightly when you rub it through. Say if you decide you'll do, it's a new chain, and you rub it through lightly 3 or 4 times, well, you come to an amount, you go 4, say 4, we'll just say 4, say it's fairly dull, you rub it through 4 times. I'm just rubbing it through with no weight on it. So you'll rub it through 4 times with your finger on there, and your hand obviously on whatever type of handle you want to use. Nothing wrong with the still, that's a Husky one. Nothing wrong with either. The Husky one's probably a bit dearer. I've used these ones for years, but I decided to grab a few Husky ones. But that's the only jig I've ever come up with that has been what I would say is good. And see that that's going through at 30 degrees. And if you're bringing that one from the other side back through, you can see that groove mark there, and you're bringing it through parallel with the bar. So I think Aussie bucking's on it. Probably the only thing I would say that I do anything different to him is I'll flip the saw. The Rakers, when you're starting to pull fine dust in this hardwood, depending on what type of hardwood you're into too, if you're into seasoned stuff, you'll probably be pulling a fair bit of finer dust anyhow. But just say you're into just something that's been down for a couple of years and you're not hitting any dirt, you can pull through on your different species. We'll just say down here, the grey gum is harder than the messmate, and bloodwood's probably something similar to say to the messmate, and the box may be in between the whatever, whether it's grey box or pink box or red box, I'm not sure. There's one right there, box tree. In my opinion, I won't go and argue about all the exact different ones, but this so time to come to the taking the, you know, it's probably 3 or 4 files. Then you might take the Raker down, put a couple of rubs on it, say 2 or 3 rubs depending, and just let me find my little file still. This is another still one. Not saying it's any better than anything else, but that's the one I use. And I'll just couple of rubs, and I might do a little bit of a tilt to the front, just angle that up. And if you look at these, these teeth here, these Raker, that's what dictates the depth of timber you're pulling out, is that. And you can see that one sharpened up through the back here and then rounded, but that's what controls the depth of what the tooth takes out. So yeah, so if I'll do another small vlog when I'm actually sharpening it next time. But the timber season, the firewood burning season slowed, but I still like fiddle farting around. I'll probably do a bit of stockpiling over summer anyhow, in the shade of the cooler bar trees, or in the shade of those trees at least down there. So yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. It's Sweno Mick from Macquarie. I hope that that's helped you a little bit. I hope I haven't confused you with too much, but practice makes perfect. But it always isn't a bad thing to get on YouTube and have a look. You got your bucking Billy Ray over in the US, but they're more on softwoods as far as I understand. But still, that bloke's got a world of knowledge, absolute world of knowledge. But yeah, fellas that are probably in this timber here, like, I mean, if you're cutting pine or softer woods, you sharpen your chains and that different. But like I say, if you get them running, and my brother Peter told us, you know, it's important to get this length right. So if he says that, I'll believe him. But I don't have trouble with saws running and anything that I've got. And I've cut up to probably 3.5 to 4 feet through, 3.5 feet trees through, and I've got to cut another 2 foot through, 3 2-footers I've got to drop, about the size of those gums there, maybe a little bit taller, and they're all linked together. I've got to do that, and I'll probably do a vlog on that, video on that when I do them. It'll be either this week or next week, probably this week. Rightio, I'm going to leave it at that, and we will see you on the next vlog. Sweno Mick. Sweno Mick, yous all have a lovely day. Sweno Mick out.